First of all, thank you for opening this video. It has neither pets nor models. There's nothing cute or sexy about this video, but you still opened it, and that makes me glad. I'm not going to introduce myself, not to be rude or secretive or anything, but because I know that it doesn't matter. It's not like you would remember my name. And besides, this isn't about me. What is it about? Art, business, the net, and people. I guess it's about all of us, including me, which is interesting. I want to point that out, that when you heard the phrase us, you probably did not count me in it. And that is sort of the point behind me not sharing my name, is I want to show that in this experience, in this exchange, I have somehow ceased to be a person to you, not part of us. And for the moment, I'm just content, just a link, from millions of links that you chose to click. In reality, I'm not content, just as you're not a consumer. I guess I should tell you something about myself. I am an artist, for lack of a better word. I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is that I do, because as soon as I said I'm an artist, you probably started wondering, oh, here goes, what is this guy trying to sell? I understand. I have thought that many times, all the time, in fact. You open a link if it's interesting, and if it stays interesting, you read it or watch it or whatever. But there is always a lingering suspicion that this person might be trying to sell me something. And we hate that. Nobody wants that. I know. And so that's not going to happen. I'm not going to tell you what it is that I do. And not try to sell you anything. Not now, not in this video. No link in the end that I will try to guilt trip you into opening. Nothing. This is not for that. I have tried that and failed. Why am I doing this? It's an experiment, I suppose. It's just some questions that I am trying to find answers to. I'll ask you one right now. So, as you're watching this video, in this session where if you're watching videos on YouTube or whatever, you must have seen some ads. There are probably some ads on the sides right now. Not my ads, mind you. As I said, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I won't be monetizing this video. But there still are ads on the side. You still are being sold to right now. And what I find interesting is that on that page, I am the only human element there. The stuff on the side isn't a person, that's corporations. But somehow, trusting me is harder than trusting the corporations. Trusting a person is harder than trusting ads. Forgive me if I sound bitter, believe me, I'm not. Just a little disappointed. You see, the net was supposed to be different. The net was supposed to be this place where the artist and the people could connect directly. Not tweet at each other, not share mirages and glimpses and memes. Really connect. I think I'll have to explain better. If we look at it historically, say we look at all of history, from Da Vinci to Mozart to anybody, if you were an artist, you needed a patron, and in more modern times you needed to pander to businessmen because of this thing that we have in the world called money, and I need to feed myself through this thing that I make, so I'm going to have to go to a business person who is good at selling you things, and then They keep the bulk of whatever my work is worth, and I get pennies. And that is how I survive as an artist. And until now, this was the only option. So that's what you did as an artist. You know, there was not much thought given to it. But now with the net, it seems suddenly that things are, different. I could just make what I make and put it online, and if people like it, that's it. But this is a lie. That's how it should have been, but that's not how it is. And that's what I mean by I'm disappointed. You see, the net was supposed to be a democratization of information. Everything available to everyone, regardless of where they were or who they were. A level playing field. But it hasn't been that way. Going back to our example of us trusting companies more than people, say I was a writer and I had a book that I had written, and you were someone who was really into books. Mind you, you're into books, and I have a good book, so you would like to hear about me, You would want to hear about good books for you to read, and I have one. I am the person, what I'm trying to say is I am the person that you would want to hear from. But right now, the way things are, I could say anything at all to you about the book. I could talk about how hard I've worked to write it, how long I've worked to write it, the sacrifices I've had to make to go down this career path, or how long I've dreamt to do this. I could say anything, and you probably wouldn't trust me. But if I was to go to Google Ads, they track everything you do on the net. Amazon tracks every single thing you searched. Facebook knows the pages you like and the pages your friends like and the pages their friends like. All activity on your phone is being tracked. Helps serve you better, right? What does that mean? So if I was to run a paid advertising campaign on these sites, then my book would start propping up on your screen in spaces that you trust, apart from the human. And then probably you would look at it. If I pander to the business person, it all comes back down to it. If I pander to the business person, and if I have the money to run that advertising campaign, which most artists don't. I see this as colonization. The net is new land, and the biggest companies are rushing to establish monopolies the way it has always been. But it didn't need to be that way with the net. I want to add another thing that this video is about. I guess it's also about humans and trust and what the net is doing to that. Let's stop talking about the art thing for a second. But I want to say this. I have thought about this for months on end now. People not trusting the artist online. And by the way, I want to clarify that by artist here, I mean not just a musician or a painter or any of that. I mean anyone that has something of value to give to the world, that the world needs. Anything that you do with no greed involved, that you do for the love of it, that is your art. As far as I'm concerned, at least. And it'll do good in the world. Anyway, as I was saying, I've over the past few months, I've given all of this quite a bit of thought. And I realized that people not trusting people online is not that surprising. In fact, we don't even trust ourselves online. What do I mean? Let's take my Facebook page for example. I mean, I don't have a Facebook page, but my Facebook profile isn't me. Your Facebook profile or Instagram or whatever, your profile isn't you. It's a cool looking, meme friendly, exaggerated version of you, tailor made for the internet. Right? That's what it is. And I realized that being cool for your friends used to be a childhood thing, acting out and being silly and getting muddy, guys at least. But then you would, develop and grow and become yourself and then be yourself. But now, the way it is that your friends are all over the world, right, online, and you never stop being cool for them. That's basically what it is. It's being cool for your friends forever. And that's a sort of bondage. Old pictures of our parents, for example, people used to smile in pictures. That was a nice picture when you had, everybody was smiling and it wasn't hazy or anything. Now, this is, I don't know how to do it. But, a cold face is cool. Or a pout if you're a woman. I'm not going to try pouting because somebody will make a meme out of that and I don't want that problem. But my point is that our pictures aren't even our pictures anymore. Those aren't your memories. Those are memories molded to fit this expectation of what looks good on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. And it's not just that you're taking pictures only to put up online. It's that you're altering your actual behavior in that situation to create a picture that is more in line with what you want online. More in line with what you want online. You know what I mean? Our real behavior is being clearly affected by these trends online, and it's not just pictures, it's words, and it's not the same thing as slang. Slang has always been there, but here you can see almost a periodic cycling thing to it, in the sense that new words come in that are popular, new poses become popular, new dances become popular, and then the old stuff goes away, and then it happens again. It's pretty fast, and you know why that is? It's because your profile is advertising space. That's what it is. And the new cool thing, which everybody then tries to do, is driving an influx of traffic. They have successfully capitalized human social behavior. My point is that even I am aware that I'm not being myself online, and so of course I expect that from everyone, and so of course I wouldn't trust anyone online, and that makes perfect sense. But the sad part of it is we seem to almost be going backwards, because for all we talk about individuality and self-expression and being ourselves and all these wonderful things, we are spending more and more time behaving as personas and not persons online, pretending to be someone we're not and conforming to expectations constantly. There used to be a time when you would log online once in a day or whatever, and that would be the time you spent on that. And now it's on your phone. There's no logging online anymore. You're online all the time. And real places where you visit are things you can share on Facebook or wherever. So that becomes another thing you can show off. So you are incentivized to go more places so that you can show off on Facebook. Which is just one small example to what I'm trying to say here is not only are we behaving as that persona, and not only is that persona awake all day now and competing with our real personality, but that persona itself, the norm that we're trying to fit in itself, is molded to suit commercial interests. Isn't that what social media marketing is? Influencers and so forth. But we seem to be blind to these things. And I don't understand why. The net is dichotomous. It allows for direct contact like this, but only theoretically. It has space for complete individuation, absolute free speech. But our words seem to be more stunted and repetitive than ever. The blindness aspect of it, I feel like that has something to do with tech being the new toy in our hands, and we just enjoy it so much we don't look too deep into it. But toys can be dangerous. I think we should ask ourselves these questions, even though they are, in fact, because they are this uncomfortable. How come the word hater is so popular all of a sudden? Do you know that evoking negative emotions is proven to make people click links much more than evoking positive emotions? So the incidence of this hater word being so popular, and this fact, it's interesting that these things coincide. And they coincide most of the time. How much power should these companies have? How come them we trust entirely? There is no end to how much they're tracking us. I mean, this could turn into the energy companies. Matter of fact, it probably already has. It probably already has. Me, I'm just a talking face. I get it. But in the larger scheme of things, aren't we all just content, advertising space, consumers to be shoved product placement at? There's one more question that I had. This was the question that made me make this video, in fact. And that was, despite of all this, can something good still be given to people on the net? Something they can use? Can a video on YouTube be art, or does it have to be covert marketing of some kind? I guess what I'm trying to ask is, can art even be made on the net? I don't know. But I've tried. Thank you so much for your time.